Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, it's Clayton, and I just got back from seeing Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. Now, as I have limited experience with Lee Child's novels, I'm not going to draw any comparisons with the original Never Go Back novel. With that being said, what did I think of this movie? Well, it's a competent movie that has some good action, good performances from Tom Cruise and Colby Smulders, and it does have entertainment value, but it's just not as good as the first film, and while not being mediocre, it's just sort of an okay action film. You know, by the numbers. But let's get to the story. We follow Jack Reacher, played by Tom Cruise, as he discovers that one of his friends, Major Turner, played by Colby Smulders, was accused of treason falsely. After breaking her out of jail, he has to uncover a conspiracy involving the deaths of some of the U.S. soldiers that were under Turner's command. That's basically all I'm going to say without spoiling anything. So, what did I like about this film? Well, Tom Cruise is just being Tom Cruise. I have yet to find a performance that's modern from this guy that is legitimately bad, because Jack Reacher is a character who's a lot like a 1990s action film star. He has all the cheesy but still awesome lines, all the cool action moves, which are a little underwhelming in comparison to some of his fight scenes in the first film, but they're still entertaining on their own. And he's also got a pretty good relationship with Colby Smulders' character, Major Turner. It's really these two actors that hold the movie together. Their relationship's fun to watch, and seeing them argue like an old married couple from time to time is rather entertaining. What is a problem is the other major character they're with. Basically, she's this blonde teenager named Samantha who helps them but also hinders them along the way. She's I wouldn't call her the Jar Jar Binks of the movie, but she is rather annoying. And she happens to pull off some insanely stupid things that someone her age should never do. I mean, I understand she's a teenager. Teenagers make mistakes, but some of the things she does, which end up getting both Turner and Reacher into jams, are incredibly annoying, and it makes you realize that this girl is not very bright. So yeah, Samantha's character is not a really good character in my opinion. Thankfully, the action scenes are fun to watch. They're full of good fight choreography. Both Turner and Reacher get some good moves in. I mean, after seeing Colby Smulders in the Avengers films as Maria Hill, I always wanted to see her in more action scenes, and thankfully this film does not disappoint. Unfortunately, there's also quite a bit of shaky cam, which sometimes it works in the film's favor, but other times it's unnecessary. I think the shaky cam should only be used in scenes that need it, and in some scenes, like when the characters are running, it does work, but in some of the action scenes I couldn't see what was going on. Now, much like The Accountant, which I reviewed last week, there actually is quite a bit of humor throughout the film. A lot of it coming from Jack Reacher's quippy one-liners, which most of them are in the trailers, but there are some that weren't in the trailers that are in this movie too. They made me chuckle every now and then, and they relieve the tension of some of the dramatic scenes. I don't know if Jack Reacher quipped as much as he did in the book as he does here, but hey, if he does, I'm totally a fan of it. My main problem with this film is the fact that the story is very generic. If you've seen action films of this type, you're basically going to tell exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. With these sort of spy films, you need stories nowadays that the audiences haven't seen before. And even though I enjoyed this film, I understand why it's been getting some not very positive reviews. Mainly because the story is very by the numbers. And it has a bit of a monotonous formula. Basically how the story goes is funny dialogue, exposition, action scene. Funny dialogue, exposition, action scene. Funny dialogue, exposition, action scene. And it does this throughout the entire film. Once you start to notice the formula, you can tell what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how the film's going to go from scene to scene. It makes it pretty obvious about what's going to go on. Thankfully, it is entertaining enough for you to have some sustained interest. Last thing I'll say about this movie is that it's a bit too long. like the original Jack Reacher film, it is around 2 hours long. And while it isn't as long as the first Jack Reacher film, it feels as long, mainly because of the bajillion endings that are near the end. Without spoiling anything, most of the ending scenes felt like they could have just ended the film right there. At first, it looks like the film's going to end after the last action scene, but then it keeps going. Then it looks like it's going to end one way, but then it keeps going. Then it looks like it's going to end another way, and then it keeps going. It's like Lord of the Rings Return of the King, only not as annoying. But, taken on the whole, Jack Reacher, Never Go Back is a generic, but still somewhat entertaining action film. So if you need your Tom Cruise fix, it's definitely worth it. For those seeking an action film that does something different, you might not like this one. So I'm going to give Jack Reacher, Never Go Back a 6.5 out of 10. See you next time.